Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll do CNC engraving on stainless steel using an overhead gantry system and a Galvo. So here you see fiber laser etching on 12 gauge stainless steel, which is a little bit less than 1/8 or a little around 2.6 millimeters. And I did the same thing here using the Galvo system. The Galvo is a little bit smaller, just so I can tell the difference. But that brings up an important point. Fiber laser etching on stainless steel, 30 watt is 30 watt, 50 watt is 50 watt, 100 watt is 100 watt, and so forth. So the watts, it doesn't matter which system you use, the power going into the stainless steel plate is the same. Now you might say, well, Galvo is faster than overhead. In certain applications, yes. In certain applications, no. So the main drawback with the overhead system, which is, I have the Trotec here. So it's a system going like this, overhead, and it's going across until all the etching is done. With the Galvo system, there's a mirror with the same 30 watt fiber laser, and it's going like this to do the same etching. Now you can etch faster if it's still 30 watt. So let's say I had a 50 watt Galvo and I had a 100 watt fiber for my Trotec. Well, then the Trotec would be faster just because the wattage would be higher, therefore I can go faster for the same result. But at the end of the day, 30 watt is 30 watt, 50 is 50, and it doesn't really matter. Now here we're using a Trotec Speedy 400 Flex. It has a CO2 tube in it and also has a fiber laser tube. The fiber laser tube is 30 watt, just like the Galvo. So they're identical in that way. Now the settings in the software for this system here are a little bit different than the other one. So it's very hard to compare them, apples to apples, because although the laser is the same, the software controlling the laser is a little bit different and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But technically speaking, the same result will happen the same amount of time regardless of the system we use. Now you can see the downside of the overhead gantry is that it's got to go left to right or go up to down, but it's always moving in this fashion. Now with the Galvo, it's moving all over the place. But the advantage you see is the large surface area. I can go basically anywhere I want using the fiber laser on this system here that I can't do on the other system. And when it comes to the light, you see like the green tinge, it's an enclosed system. So that means I can do other work without wearing special glasses in the shop. Well, with the Galvo, I cannot. Now, other than the size difference, so you can easily tell the difference. Again, this one's Galvo, it's a little bit smaller, and this is the overhead. You can't really see a difference at all in them. So why would you use one over the other if they're both, why do I have two fiber laser machines for CNC laser engraving stainless steel? Well, it's because of the application. The Galvo is really good for small items that are under 4 inches square. And it works great for that because I could grab, put back, forth, back and forth, back and forth. With the laser engraver, it's great for that too. It's just slower because I have to lift the top up, I have to do a bunch of other stuff for calibration. So in that way, the Galvo is more efficient. And with the overhead gantry system, the advantage to that is I could do massive things. I've done huge control panels, I've done signage, all those kind of things that are plates this large that just are not possible with the Galvo system. Because again, the surface area is this big versus this big, and almost infinite because I could feed it through the machine, and I've done that in the past. So when it comes to fiber laser etching, generally it's 30 to 100 watts. Now I've also shown video of fiber laser cutting. Generally that starts at around, I'd say 800 watts to 1 kilowatt, and then it's exponential. So 2 kilowatt cuts maybe 1.5 times faster than 1 kilowatt and so forth. But it's pretty cool machinery. But again, even that has its own drawbacks. It's not better than any other system out there. So like I always tell customers, having a variety of different machines has some synergy to it, but there is no one machine that covers everything, that does everything perfectly. Let's say you have an application where you have something like this here. Let's just say this is stainless steel, and you wanted to fiber laser etch some information on here. If there's only one of them, I would probably use the Galvo. If you have 1,000 of them, I'll probably use the overhead gantry system. Now that sounds kind of productive because I could go like this, right? But the gantry system is more efficient because I could lay them side by side by side by side by side by side by side. And instead of switching them over in the Galvo system, I just do them all in one shot using the fiber laser in the overhead system. So it's not as cut and dry as a lot of people think. There's a lot of variations and a lot of experience that goes into deciding which machine to do what, but the final results are the same. So what you see here is the Galvo. Now the nice thing about this, having the mirror over the gantry system, is that I got a lot of different settings as to how I actually do the fiber laser etching. In this case here, I'm just going from the top left to the bottom right, but I can go any sort of angle you want. I can also prioritize certain areas of the plate, and I can also just go into, I could do outlines all the way down and all the way up through a vector image. So basically, let's say you have a circle. With the Trotec laser, the circle will go from top to bottom or left to right, or however I have it set up that way. But this one here, I could start off in the dead center of that circle and work the fiber laser etching out, or work on the outside working all the way in, or go from the top to bottom, right to left, all that kind of stuff. So I have a lot more control over how the laser progresses across the image, while with the overhead gantry system, I don't. Now you say, why does it matter? Well, it makes a really cool graphic, because sometimes you have some logos and it's really cool to see the outline sort of work its way out from the inside out, and you can actually see it on the plate, the priority that's given that way. So in that way, it's kind of interesting, but at the end of the day, this doesn't affect the durability of the plate or the durability of the etching on the plate. Now in this case here, you see some little dark sort of circles slowly working their way down. What that actually is the stainless steel that's been sort of popped out through the etching or the heating process. And it builds up on the plate as you work your way down, because it's actually pushing it. So the nice thing about laser etching in general is that it never actually touches the plate. And the advantage to that is that you don't end up with fingerprints, you don't end up with a lot of discontinuities, you don't end up with a lot of issues that might cause problems with the plate. But the downside to that is, of course, it's only one color possible, and that's like a very dark brown to light black or dark black, depending on the coating that I put over it to produce fiber laser etching. So what are some applications where fiber laser etching stainless steel or even anodized aluminum work out great? I do quite a bit of welding in the shop, and that's a fantastic application for that. Not for laser welding, I'll show that later on. But the nice thing about fiber laser etching is that the marking does not come off. It's permanent. I could rub this for 100 years and my finger will dissolve down, but this will still be here. And I've had contracts where, I screwed up a plate and I just want to see, well, how hard is it to take this thing off? It's called angle grinder, and it's not any fun, because it introduces a lot of heat to the plate and it bends it. It's basically just scrap. So if I screw up one of these things, it's scrap. There's nothing you can really do to fix it, unless you use a CNC milling machine and you carve it off and off. So if you're looking for fiber laser etching on stainless steel, mild steel, anything, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship them right to your door. And keep in mind, with welding, the heat distortion, all that kind of stuff has no effect at all on the fiber laser etching. You can actually bend the plate with the fiber laser etching and it'll still be totally fine, because it's part of the steel. It's not added onto the steel, and it's not, what do you call it, imprinted onto the steel. It's actually the steel itself that creates the contrast.